Moonlight Real Estate Side Hustle and Business Show. I am your host, Eric Lindsay. Here at Moonlight, we choose to focus on achieving job security. And today we are here with Amber Gage. Amber is a strategic marketing expert with over 20 years of experience helping businesses, especially in manufacturing, home services, and technology, stand out, attract better leads, and grow sustainably. Without further ado, welcome to the show, Amber.
Thank you so much, Eric. I'm happy to be here.
Well, we're thrilled to have you. You've got quite the background, 20 years experience within marketing and branding. And so we know how valuable that actually is to a company and their current place in driving income and also the future. So we're really excited to be able to hold a conversation with you and learn more about your strategies and even what you're seeing on the forefront and what's coming down the pike. And what's working as of today in 2025. But before we get into those conversations, could you share just a little bit more about yourself and also how you got started in business?
Yeah, sure. So I'm a third generation entrepreneur who thought that she was never going to be self-employed. I did not have that aspiration initially because I grew up in an entrepreneurial household, but God has a sense of humor. And ultimately, I think he gives us opportunities to mature and grow. And so after growing up in the family business, I started working for my parents' plumbing company at the age of 8. I then studied music and traveled abroad and sang internationally. Got a degree in music from Baylor University, Sick 'em Bears. And then after graduating from Baylor, figured out really quick that I didn't like being a starving musician. I needed a real job. And so I went back into the family businesses and worked there for about 10 years. And continue to learn all the facets of entrepreneurship. At one point in time, I was running the business. We had 215 employees for 6 offices across the state of Texas. My mother was the owner of the company. She got cancer, and so I found myself running a multimillion-dollar operation very quickly. And then ultimately had the blessing of having their support to start my own agency underneath the umbrella of family entities. Grew and scaled that entity in 5 years from 0 customers all the way up to having a private equity exit in 2018. And that then led me to work on a national level and get great experience, which then brought me back to my roots. And I discovered that there are wonderful national marketing techniques that can and should be brought to local entrepreneurs. There are over 54 million entrepreneurs in the United States. Every single one of them should be entitled to marketing that works. And so that is my goal and passion with my team, is to empower entrepreneurs with effective marketing strategies.
Okay, that's fantastic. You've had an amazing career. Started out in the family business, was able to scale that, started your own company, and even had an exit. And so that's really fascinating. So if I could park there briefly, what was it like to be able to get acquired? Was that really difficult to go from a startup and scale the business and get it positioned well enough to where it could be acquired by a private equity shop?
It was. And I firmly believe that if other people have that goal and ambition, that you have to focus on your systems. A entrepreneur's company that has a goal to be acquired really cannot be dependent upon the entrepreneur. You have to have documented systems, people in place, strategic leadership, and understand from the get-go that you will be making certain personal sacrifices in order to forfeit control to be palatable to an acquisition, to a private firm or private equity. So yes, it was difficult, but it was also incredibly thrilling. I would never go back on the opportunity. It was a blessing that still is a blessing to this day. So yeah, it was great.
That's great. And so when you started the company off, did you start the business with that in mind, or did it just kind of develop along the way?
It totally just came and fell into my lap, Eric. It was and one of those situations where we started the business because we really liked the opportunity. We were a licensee of a concept that someone else had developed. And then private equity came calling. It was a strategic acquisition. They bought us out because we were a direct competitor. And then they interviewed all of us who were involved in the business and hired me to be the national president and take it scalable. And so because of the infrastructure that existed, it made a very easy asset purchase.
Okay, that's great. That's great. That's amazing. And so there's a couple of school of thoughts when it comes to business. So you've got some individuals that say chase passion, and then you've got another group that says chase income. And so where do you fall in between? And since you've been able to see multiple businesses, had worked for your family business, and even built your own business a couple of times. And so what's your thought process in which a person should go after initially? And so do you feel more led towards the passion group or going after what's generating income?
Well, I don't think that one should preclude the other. I believe when we pursue our passions to the best of our ability, it produces the opportunity for income. You should never divest yourself from your passions in pursuit of income. You will be a miserable person with ulcers, in my opinion. So I love every aspect of marketing. I love my team. I love the culture of business that we have built together. So I firmly believe that passion breeds opportunity, breeds connections. And as the great Zig Ziglar said, if you spend enough time helping other people get what they want, you never have to worry about getting what you want. So for me, passion brings income.
Yeah, I agree with you. You have to like what it is that you're doing. And if you are a miserable soul, the whole time that you're operating your business, it's just going to be a huge challenge. And the motivation can wane from time to time because as an entrepreneur, there's highs and lows consistently. And so you have to be able to weather those storms and persevere throughout it all. And so having a passion, or at least having a desire, a love, a care for what it is that you're doing, it is really good to keep propelling you forward. So that's really good. So one last question before I kind of go back to our typical format that we use within our podcast. So for individuals that's forming businesses or forming side hustles, do you think they should off the bat begin with trying to structure their business for an exit? And so I've heard of people that they really promote that. And so it's somewhat the E-Myth model: create the franchise model, figure out how to get rid of yourself, replace yourself, and get your company ready enough or prepared enough to be acquired if need be. What's your thought process on that? And what do you think an entrepreneur should come off the bat with their start?
Well, the great thing about entrepreneurship is that the sky's the limit and there's no right or wrong. The wonderful thing about the American dream and the American business economy as a whole is that it produces more flexibility than we could ever imagine. So I think that's a very personal question for every entrepreneur to consider. My daddy used to tell me, begin with the end in mind, baby girl. So what do you want? What is your primary motivating factor for being an entrepreneur? For me, it was ultimate control over my finances, time, freedom, and family. I'm a single mom of an 8-year-old boy. I want to be able to go to his Taekwondo belt camp. I want to be able to make the investments in my church and be able to decide when I'm going to work from Italy and when I'm going to work from home. I don't like asking permission to do anything. I'm a 7th-generation Texan, for goodness sake. So don't tell me what to do. But all of those things are determining factors that led me to start the business and form it the way that it is. For a solopreneur who just wants to coast, what's wrong with that? If you're happy making $50,000 to $100,000 a year and you've got a decent profit margin and you don't have a ton of overhead, more power to you, baby girl. Go for it. If you are an aspirational identity who wants to own a national franchise, then you're going to be looking at very different kinds of partnerships and infrastructure. Self-reflection, personal ambition, and long-term goals are the 3 areas that I would encourage entrepreneurs to look at when they're deciding how they want to build that business. And look, lastly, Eric, give yourself room to breathe and change. Our lives change. There are things that come along the side that we never anticipated. So another beautiful thing about entrepreneurship is we get to pivot. We get to sell. we get to keep, we get to delegate. Entrepreneurship gives us more freedom than any other area of life, I think.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, because if you're going through business, a lot of times opportunity appears in strange places, and you just have to kind of keep your options open and keep an open mind. And that kind of goes back to that being aware and be aware of what it is that you want to do and how you want to go about doing things. And so I think that's a great strategy. And I love the advice that your dad gave. Start with the end in mind. I think that's Stephen Covey, that he speaks about making sure that your ladder's leaning up against the right building, because you want to make sure that you're going to be happy when you climb to the top of that ladder. And because it would be a miserable thing to put 5, 10, 20 years into a business only to not be very happy when you achieve the goal that you've been really aiming for. So that's really good. Okay, so if we could venture back to the format here. In the early days, when you were first getting acclimated to business, and it sounds like you grew up in a business family, what was that like? And at what point did it start registering for you? Because I personally, my children, they're growing up in a business family as well. And so we talk about it, breakfast, lunch, and dinner around the clock. It not intentionally, it's just a part of our life and what we're doing. And so they just happen to be there. What was it like for you early on when the lights started to come on for you in regards to business?
So I think when you grow up your entire life in an atmosphere, you take it for granted, right? It isn't until you get out in the world that you go, people live differently than me. How interesting. I think the light bulb really started going off for me when my mom started delegating marketing to me, because that's when I found my passion and my calling, because I thought I can do this really well. I loved the blend of analytics and creativity. I loved the ever moving challenge of always having to test, repeat, see what was going to work, what wasn't going to work. I'm also a pressure cooker. So the harder it feels, the more I'm going to work, because I just like a good challenge. And so when they gave me challenging roles in the organization, I took that personally to see whether or not I could do it. And there were some things I could do really well, and there were some things I could not do really well. Don't ask me to balance the book. I hired an amazing bookkeeper for a reason, because I'm not a math girl. That's why I got a music degree, funnily enough. There's a lot of math and music, but no one told me that. So I think for me, the light bulb moment went on when I went, oh, I truly love this aspect of business. And I have a unique approach and a unique voice, and I can see how this can benefit other people. And when I was having success doing it for our family businesses, other entrepreneurs came to us and said, can Amber do this for our business as well? And so when you get that small taste of success, you start to go, well, maybe this is scalable.
Okay. Yeah, that's really good. And for them to hand the reins over to you and allow you to just take control of that within the company or the family business, that says something. And obviously you had a passion for it and you were really good at it. And so was there ever a moment where you just weren't very good at it and you made a tweak, or there was something that you had to adjust in order to get that skill marketable or sellable until it actually started performing and generating income?
Oh, absolutely. Because when I inherited the marketing responsibilities, there was no system or rhyme or reason. It was just, let's throw it up against the wall and see if it produces phone calls. That's not the way that my analytical brain worked. So I needed to have guardrails in place, and I needed to develop processes in order to prove my results. It's one thing when you own the business and you don't have to prove yourself to anybody. That was my parents. They owned the business. It was their money. They could decide what to do. But try handing that money over to your kid and making them accountable for it. It's a completely different conversation. Why did you spend $5,000 again? So I had to create spreadsheets. I had to create tracking. I had to create methodologies to prove the efficacy of what I was doing. And in so doing, that's when I was able to hone my skills and prove my success.
Okay, so you began to create trackable ways to identify metrics and KPIs in which you were able to see exactly what was performing and what was not performing. And that's what stimulated your performance in the marketing side of the business. Is that correct?
Absolutely. Because then I could go to my parents and say, look, I got you a 3x return on this. Give me more budget, right? Because numbers don't lie. They're just numbers.
Got it. Yeah. And so that's where a lot of people are when they first get started. There's always a bottleneck or something that they could point to when they do achieve a level of success that they did something a little bit different and they start getting better results. And so that's really amazing that you were able to just track things and see exactly what was working, and that really was the catalyst to be able to drive the income within your company and your family's company. So if we could, let's move things to as of today. You guys are having some success within marketing. You've had a successful exit. You ran the family business. What is it that you guys are doing as of today in 2025?
As of today, our wonderful team is serving entrepreneurs all across the United States with marketing strategies and methodologies to help them 10x their business. I have an international best-selling book called the Far Beyond Marketing Guidebook, How to Stop Being Duped by Bad Marketing. And we take all of our clients through our 4 C's system, the 4 C's of effective marketing. And in that process, we design custom strategies for our clients that they can put into place so that their marketing can run on autopilot, so that they have trusted advisors at their fingertips, and so that they can achieve their operational and revenue-based goals. That's what we do.
That's amazing. Yeah. So marketing is the lifeblood of every business. Without marketing, you're not going to generate the income that you could. You could have some really great word of mouth marketing, in which there's some amazing companies that operate just strictly off of word of mouth, but a lot of companies need a little bit more of a push than that. And that's where a lot of the branding and the marketing comes in. So what are you seeing as of today? So we're in the world of AI. There's social media all over the place. What's getting a cut through that you're seeing with some of your clients? And I don't know how much you can disclose. I definitely don't. You don't have to disclose any names or anything. But what are you seeing that's working today within this current environment?
Well, there's a readjustment and a hyper focus back to hyper localized marketing for businesses. For a while, we needed big websites that were meaty and massive and covered SEO on a macro level. Now we're seeing more of an influence on a micro level. So a focus on highly localized search engine optimization. Google business profiles. Of course, Google has changed their algorithms again as of March of this year. So that caused a lot of challenges for people online. Story brand is an incredibly effective way to clarify the message for a business. So I highly recommend the Donald Miller story brand process for anyone who needs to know how to talk about their business. AI is changing the way that we work as well. So I would say focusing on your web presence, focusing on your search engine optimization. Direct mail is also not dead. Really, frequency over reach and hyper focusing on your target demographic is how you win the day in marketing, whether it's in your local backyard or on a national level.
Okay, and how about social media? Is there still a lot of cut through on that, or is that kind of going as a more of a has been, or it's not as popular as it once was?
Social media is definitely an important component of any marketing strategy. I would say that it depends on the industry of the business. You see a lot more product placement and purchases on social media for specific products. I think you see a lot of branding and education on social media. Home service-based businesses typically don't get a lot of new leads through social media, but there is a lot to be gained on an SEO perspective when you have a robust social media presence. So there is a place for social media, but I would never advise someone to put all their eggs in one basket.
Wow. Okay. I like that. So you're utilizing SEO and various strategies rather than just going all in on one.
Right. Absolutely. You need to allow the operational goals of the business to dictate the marketing strategy, which then informs what strategic marketing tactics you put into place for that business.
Okay. All right. Got it. Got it. And so how about branding? How do you feel about branding in 2025? What's a great strategy that a person can go about branding their company if they're just launching, or maybe if they're already involved into a venture? What's a solid plan moving forward with branding?
Well, when it comes to branding, branding is the wind in the sails. Branding is the emotion that people feel when they encounter your company. So branding is incredibly important. I like the methodology, the 7-part framework that Donald Miller produced, because it's also how they make blockbuster movies. You know, if a movie doesn't follow the 7-part framework, it ain't going to be a blockbuster. So we take all of our clients through that 7-part framework, and anyone can check that out online. Don's written some fantastic books about that. There's only a few hundred of us in the world that are certified to take companies through that process. But I would say that branding, clear messaging, story branding, hugely important, and making sure that your story matches your graphics and your logos. That's where you win and lose the day, Eric.
Got it. Got it. And I know we were talking offline about AI and how you incorporate AI within it. I mean, it's just a huge, I mean, there's so much cash being thrown towards AI with a lot of these companies. You've got OpenAI, you've got Grok with Elon Musk, and I mean, there's several other platforms out there. So, what are you seeing with AI? How much of that should or would you recommend an entrepreneur get involved with? And is there any go-to platforms that you utilize?
Absolutely. So we like to refer to AI as our favorite intern around here. We call him Big T. So, we're using Chat GPT. We're asking Big T for his help, right? I think every entrepreneur should pay attention to AI. It does not replace human intelligence. It will not replace human intelligence. It's garbage in, garbage out. It's all having to do with the prompts. It's all having to do with the vetting and the validation that you're giving it. So we love AI for the purpose of helping us be more efficient for our clients. Beautiful.ai is great for presentations. ChatGPT, the paid version, has tons of different options that you can utilize, from creating PDFs to strategies to answering basic questions, right? I think it can even code these days. So we are personally doing a lot of R&D in AI to help us with our internal processes and procedures to run our agency more efficiently. So I'm a huge fan of AI. I think it's only going to propel us to the next level of efficacy in our industry.
Okay. And how about you personally? Have you seen a reduction in expenses due to AI, that you're no longer needing to hire, let's say, 1099 contractors, or hire some virtual assistants out because of AI's services?
Absolutely. We were able to reduce our headcount over the last quarter by 6 in exchange for using AI and software as a service platforms.
Amazing. Okay. And how about the agents? Have you guys utilized or ventured into those waters with the AI? But he's huge into the AI space. Have you guys ventured into those waters and had some decent results if you have?
Yes, we have introduced AI agents in social media chatbots for our clients, so that when people are asking questions online, they're getting automatic responses. We're also able to put AI agents on our clients' websites with pre-formed and pre-vetted scripts and forms. We also, my team has created an AI virtual version of me, so that when they need to answer questions for our clients and I'm not available, they have created an AI version of Amber so that our clients can get access to me in real time. So yeah, we love AI agents. There's a lot to be done with those.
Yeah, AI is definitely a game changer. Man, I'm with you. I don't really think it's going to just take over the world or anything like that, but it is very helpful. I've been able to eliminate some virtual assistants, some tasks that they would normally take care of, because I just farm it out. I've got some prompts that I've created processes with, and I just check the box to go down, and what I would have to pay $50 for, $100 for with a virtual assistant, I can now do that same work in 10 minutes and have an extremely quality product. So yeah, AI has definitely got its place. So Amber, we appreciate that. We're going to move a little bit further into the show. We've got a coaching portion, and what we usually do is ask about 6 questions. If you could hold your response to each one of these questions between 1 or 2 minutes, that'd be great. The first question I have for you is, how many hours a week do you recommend a person invest into building their business in order to be successful initially? If a person's looking to get their business off the ground, and let's say they've got a full-time job and they're trying to build their business on the side, is there a magic bullet, or would you say there's a certain threshold that a person needs to meet in order to have or find success within their business?
I don't believe so. I tend to be more task-oriented, less than time-oriented. So if you are working a full-time job and trying to build your business, there are going to be some days you can spend 30 minutes and some days you can spend 3 hours. And I know that because I did it. Started out with a full-time chief marketing officer job and then did consulting on the side to start my business the second time around. So I like a task list, and I like working with a qualified business coach to hold you accountable. But no, I don't think there's any set time that you have to spend daily on your business. It's all about getting through the steps.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a book out. It's called The 7-Figure Business. And the premise is that really small businesses like a solopreneur, they can build a 7-figure business. And if they're able to get a couple of hours a weekend or a few hours a weekend, if you stay consistent with that and take advantage of the time that is allotted to you or that's an option, you can make some really good headway if you just keep stacking and staying consistent with putting in the work, putting in the time. There's some amazing results that can be achieved with that. So that's a great response. The next question I have for you is, what kind of advice could you offer someone about dealing with mistakes, staying determined, and knowing when to pivot as an entrepreneur?
Forgive yourself. Don't assume that just because you made a mistake that it's over and you have to give up. The greatest personality trait of an entrepreneur, in my opinion, is tenacity and grit. So accept your mistakes, look at them head on, look at the repercussions of the mistakes and own it, learn from it and move forward.
Yeah, that's amazing. I love that comment about grit, because most of the people that you see that are really successful, they just kept going. They refused to accept no for an answer, and they just made a way even when it just looked like they were up against impossible odds. So I think that's a great suggestion on that. Next question: if a person had minimal amounts of time, no money or experience, but they wanted to start a business, what steps would you recommend for them to take to start and scale a business?
Sit at the feet of greatness. Find yourself a mentor who's willing to selflessly pour into you. Ask them to mentor you. Get out there in your community, kiss babies and shake hands. Be honest about where you begin. Don't promote yourself for more than you are. Stay humble and just learn from the best, one step at a time. There are so many wonderful business incubators that are available to us that we've never had before. Small Business Association of America, the Chambers of Commerce of America, so many wonderful qualified business coaches. If I had one thing to do over again, I would have hired a coach sooner, because I believe everyone needs to learn from people who are better than them. And be your own MBA program. Read everything. If you're not a big reader, get the Audible book. Read, read, read.
Yeah, that's amazing. Last question I have for you, Amber, is what would be the best advice you could give someone about operating a profitable business in terms of finance? And when I say that, I'm referring to things related to knowing your income coming in, your expenses going out, taxes, paying yourself percentages, etc. What type of business finance advice would you give to a person that's new looking to get started within business?
The most powerful thing for me in this area was reading Mike Michalowicz's book, Profits First. It helps you to get paid immediately. It shows you what percentages to set aside for your taxes, what percentages to set aside for your operating expenses. Put Mike Michalowicz Profits First in place now. Best thing you can do.
I agree with you. Yeah, I had to learn. I grabbed the book after a financial setback. I wish I would have read that book before the setback, but I've come to learn that most successful entrepreneurs, they've had some hiccups along the way. And so I use that as my crutch to kind of cheer me up occasionally. But no, that book is a game changer to always make sure that you pay yourself along the way while investing back into the business, but always make sure that you're taking a profit as well. Okay. And so we definitely appreciate all of those answers to those questions. We're going to start wrapping the show up. But before we do, if you could share a great business or either a great personal development book with the Moonlight audience, that'd be great.
My favorite marketing book that changed my view about how to market a business throughout the different life cycles is Marketing is War by Trout and Reese. It talks to you about how to take the hill of a competitor from a branding perspective. It talks about the different growth patterns of a business. It's an oldie but a goodie. So I definitely recommend Marketing is War by Trout and Reese.
Okay, got it. Yeah, so I'll have to add that to the list. I haven't read that one yet, but it sounds like it should be something that should be added to my book collection there. So, Amber, we want to thank you for coming on to the show. You've been a wealth of knowledge, sharing all the way back from the early days of working in your family business and taking over the marketing and what it took for you to be able to get traction, forming some analytical KPI trackers to be able to see exactly what was working and what wasn't, and how that really propelled you guys' business. Amber, if someone listening to the show decided that they wanted to reach out and connect with you, what would be the best method?
Please go to our website, farbeyondmarketing.com. There you'll see my speaker page. I'm happy to discuss coming and speaking at your events. If you want to download my book, you can go to amazon.com for the Far Beyond Marketing Guidebook. Feel free to connect with us on LinkedIn or any other social media platforms too. We'd love to connect.
Okay, sounds good, Amber. Well, once again, thanks for coming on the show. We'd love to have you back anytime.
Thank you so much. You were a fantastic host, Eric. It was my privilege to be with you today.